What's up, everybody? It's your boy Hazed, and we are back. That statement has a lot of levels to it because, hey, if you're here, this is the first video of my new channel, and we're officially back, so thank you for being here. We're also back in the sense that Lorcana took a little break, had a new baby personally, so didn't get to play a lot of the last set, but man, are we back, and man, is it better than ever. So, want to get to this video here. We're going to talk about Blurple and what it looks like for Infinity. Shout out to my boy Lewis here, who has some questions on Blurple, because, you know, I'll put his statements here. He doesn't think that we should even be playing it, but I'm going to get into what I see Blurple looking like in the Infinity meta. We just got a brand new set. I know a lot of people are prepping for Indy. I basically have 3 ideas that I'm looking at now, and I'm going to break down each one of those. However, look, we're deck building, right? Like, this is a card game. Take these ideas, mold them how you want, take out some cards you don't like, add some cards you do, and enjoy it. I mean, I think that's what this is all about. So without further ado, we're going to get into my first version. Alright, so the first version of Blurple that we have, you're gonna see a lot of the normal things that you would have seen in a Blurple build before rotation hit, which is now our Infinity meta. So you're gonna see some things that are familiar, which is great for those of you that played Blurple in the past. But I want to hit on these things in case you haven't, and maybe you're a new player that hasn't played some of these cards. So I just want to kind of hit on what I think makes this very good. This is going to be my anti-green version, and you'll start to see some of those pieces on why I think that it is anti-green. Also, you're going to see one card that I think is incredible from set 12, and it is our friend Merryweather. She is an incredible card, a 4/5 ward that we get to play on turn 3. So that may not look like a lot at first, but man, does this thing put in work against any things that would want to kill our turn 3 play. It gives you something to fight with on board. It is uninteractable by something like Steel Song, which is a heavy piece in the meta. And then a lot of the green decks are playing, 3-cost Ursula, trying to shoot down your cards that you play as well. So she's a sticky threat that you can then heal with Cheshire Cat or Belle, Accomplished Mystic. And she's an incredible card. Nothing like going turn 3 Merryweather into turn 4 Elsa to just take something out and then do something nasty the next turn. So anyways, I just want to talk about a couple of things combos that weren't possible in core. That if you're a new Blurple player and you haven't played with some of these cards, I want to hit on those things. So one of the first is Popsicle. You may be like, why are you playing Popsicle? Hiram's banned. What are you doing? And the answer is we play Popsicle on turn 1. We can then play Belle, Apprentice, Inventor right away because she gets played for free. And then turn 2, we can sing Friends, which is an insane high roll combo that just lets you do a lot of unfair things, which Blurple normally doesn't get to do. This is one of the unfair things you get to do. So it is very good. Goat is another piece that, was rotated out. Goat is something that gives you extra reach in the late game, which is very important against other blue decks. Or the times that you're fighting for board, and you just need to find that time that you are the aggressor, and Goat helps you do that. Madam M Fox also rotated out. Insane card. It's an anti-aggro tool on its face value, but at the same time, in Blurple, it gives you these powerful on-play effects to do multiple times, right? So think of your Tamatoas, your Hades, your Elsas, your Belle Accomplished Mystics. It is an incredible piece and something that we didn't have in the past with Cheshire Cat. So Cheshire Cat with Fox is crazy because when you bounce, you're drawing those cards that you boosted under it. So it's a pseudo way to draw cards in the late game, which is also a very cool tool. Tamatoa puts in a lot of work because you're able to buy those popsicles back. You also have a couple of guidebooks in here as well. That's, drawing cards is good. Blurple does that very well. And then honestly, what I think is one of the biggest pieces for the green decks that we didn't have access to before rotation was Demona. Demona answers a lot of problems for us because stuff like Prince John, or stuff that they just don't want to turn sideways and they have multiple things that we need to hit. It's an incredible card. And if you go like turn 3 Merryweather, turn 4 Merryweather, turn 5 Demona, and wipe out whatever's on board that can't swing back into Merryweather. Against Steel Song, if they haven't sung Whole New World already, you'll just win. They'll scoop. And I actually had a game like that earlier today where they did scoop and move on. So this deck is very fun. It's more like a core Blurple deck. Nothing super spicy on it. I just think it's playing good cards. And I would go ahead and give this one a try at base value. And yeah, I'll go into the next one here, which is a little bit different. With Blurple, the one thing I want to say before we transition into the next deck is Blurple has a core, right? There's a core of the cards that you want that are gonna do the thing that Blurple does, right? I would say your Hades, your Foxes, your Tipos, your Sails, a bunch of 4-drops, right? Because you're gonna ramp on 2, you want to play a good 4-drop on turn 3, and then how do you manage the board from there? Like that's kind of where you can change things, and depending on what the meta ends up being, is where I would address some of the tech pieces. So that's all I want to say on that. And yeah, we'll move into the next deck list. All right, we're turning up the spice meter here on our second list. This is my go at a Blurple Madrigal deck. I've had a lot of fun with it. First thing I want to say is look who's back. Yep, Merryweather's back. She has been just continually impressive to me. Probably about 150 games in so far within the new set in Infinity. So not all of them have been on Blurple. I've tried a few different things, but man, I'm continually impressed by Merryweather. So my idea for this deck kind of started with Peppa, the new 3-cost that draws a card when you heal off of a character once per turn, and she also damages all your characters. So draw engines are good, and a lot of times Blurple can take advantage of those draw engines. And with this setup, we have Peppa and we have Popsicle, right? So Peppa is going to damage everything, and then Popsicle will instantly heal something if we have it out already. And that will instantly draw you a card. So it sets you up pretty quickly. We're also playing things like Cheshire Cat to heal our stuff, and that does trigger Peppa as well. Another card that's been pretty impressive to me is Bruno. So Bruno does something similar to Peppa, but the one thing in his text is you look at 2 cards and then you put one in your hand and one at the bottom of your deck. So develop your brain, right? Like every time you heal once per turn, you're developing your brain. The thing is, he does not do damage when he's played, so he's not an engine on his own, but in something like a Diablo deck, if you're against it, Bruno gets around that, which is super relevant. If you go, turn 3 Merryweather, turn 4 Bruno, it sets up some stuff there to, take advantage of that. The one thing I also want to say about Peppa is not a May trigger, so you have to draw, similar to Genie. So if you do play or you heal something, you're going to draw a card if they have a Diablo out, so keep that in mind as well. We aren't playing Bells in this one, and it could be a discussion point, right? Like I said, these are my first ideas on things, and these lists are going to change 1,000 times by probably next week, right? And I think that's what makes the beginning of the set so much fun. So take whatever you like from here and add to it, or take away however you want. I wanted to try the Louisa package with the new Louisa and having a shift target for her. Don't think it's super necessary. You could literally just replace the 1-drop with Bells. And maybe not even play this Louisa, but that's totally up to you. I also wanted to make sure I had Popsicles available when I did play the Peppa down, which Bell is kind of counterintuitive to that game plan. So again, we're still playing our Tomatos, our Hades, our Demonas, the top end curve that we want. I'm trying Feather, because keeping something evasive has been super relevant for me. Instead of Ink Runner, where it's just alert, obviously Ink Runner draws a card, which a lot of the time just makes it better. But Blurple draws a lot of cards, and there's times that you want to set up a more efficient Demona. So, like for example, you play Ink Runner, like so you have 8 Ink up. You're gonna play Ink Runner, you're gonna play Demona. But now, if you play that Ink Runner, you're gonna draw a card. So it makes the Demona a little less valuable, to where if you did Magic Feather and then Demona, you're drawing 3. The downside to that is whatever you pick for Magic Feather is stuck on unless you bounce it back and redo it. Where Ink Runner you can pick once per turn, and it also costs an ink. So there's give and takes there, and I'm not sure which one is exactly better. I'm just kind of messing with, this package and really limit testing, if you will. So Louisa has been pretty cool because of how you can do multiple triggers of that. So you can play her and then, pull damage from all your characters and deal the 3. It's similar to a Bell in that regard. And it, if you're saving Peppa triggers, it also helps. She works really well with Peppa. Again, I don't think this is the most competitive deck. It was an idea I really wanted to test, and I actually was winning a lot more than I thought I would be with it. I think at rotation, it'll be really cool to explore more. The only downside is you lose Popsicle. I think that's the most important piece that you'll be losing. I'm sorry, in core, I think I said rotation, but in core, I think that's going to be like the one, and Friends, obviously, but Friends it's always good, but it's not as good without the Bell high roll, right? Where you play the Bell on turn 1 and then sing Friends the next turn. So yeah, I would give this one a try as well. It's super fun. It definitely turns up the spice meter a little bit. And our last one, we got one more spicy one for you guys. So I'll get into that one now. Oh man, it is like after a long day at work, you come home. You're ready for bed. You get in your sheets, they're nice and cool, and you lay your head on your pillow, and it's just you're just happy where you are. And this is that deck for me. This is Blurple Jafar, the newest version, if you will. I'll be honest. Look, this is probably not as consistent, not as competitive as some of the other lists, but man, is it so fun to play. Just opens up different lines that are very atypical, right? Like you wouldn't see some of the things that you're able to do in this. So for those of you that have not played this deck list before or something similar, I'll go over a couple of the pieces and why it's even a deck in the first place. First off, Lamp. Lamp is a really fun card. It lets you draw 2 cards if you have a Jafar out, and it lets you bounce a character with cost 4 or less to their hand if you have a Genie out. They're really fun, and you're able to do this with Tamatoa. So that's what really started this idea back before rotation happened. I was trying to figure out a way to, use Tamatoa and break him, and Jafar as a win con was also pretty fun. So the idea came from that. A couple things we didn't have access to before rotation did happen back in set 8. Dumbo with Jafar is also pretty fun. So I threw that in there because I think it's something to explore. Obviously, Christmas Land, you get Dumbo and Jafar out, and you just tap Jafar and gain 2 lore, right? Because you draw the card from Dumbo and gain a lore, and drawing the card because Jafar's tapped is pretty fun. And then the other card we didn't have access to was Genie. This one is super relevant for a couple of reasons. We used to have to play the uninkable Genie, which made the uninkable count really high in the past. This fixes that to where we're only at 10 uninkables, and we still get to keep the playset of Hades. We're playing a playset of Lamp, which is normally not possible because how the unink count was before. We had to play the 4-cost evasive Genie in the past. This Genie lets you curve. For example, let's say you ramp to turn 3, like you play your normal, turn 2 ramp. Turn 3, you play Jafar, right? Hopefully it lives. That's a big hopeful thing in every game that we play. But then turn 4, you're able to play the Genie down and play the Lamp, which we were never able to do in the past, which it needed a 3-drop. I mean, we had some 3-drop options, but they just weren't good. Where this card is actually pretty good on its own because of the boost, and we can use the Lamp on the Genie itself. So we can boost it a few times, quest, bounce with Lamp, put all those cards back into our hand. Unfortunately, it doesn't count as drawing them for Jafar's effect, but you're still able to refill in a sense. The only card I'm kind of questionable on in this list is hard because it's so powerful in others, but it's Demona. It's a little rare that we're out of cards, but in the sense that we are, I think that she's just such a good top deck. And we mentioned the way that she attacks green in the past, earlier in the video, and I do think that is super relevant. So yeah, she is she's still worth the slot. I'm only on 3 on her now. I think I'm playing 4 Tamatoa because getting those items back is just so good. We're still playing the Brick House Merryweather because against those Steel Song decks or somewhere that we need something to stick, Merryweather does that well. And it is crazy to see how powerful this card is in comparison to Jafar, because that was the other reason we played Jafar in the past, was we needed a 5 health body to play on turn 3, and Jafar fell into that role. Now we have a 5 health body on turn 3, and it has Ward, which is just, this card is insane. It's just so good. One card I didn't mention that I want to talk about is Croquet Mallet. Croquet Mallet gives a card rush, so it's a 1-cost item that you could pop with Bell in a pinch. If you have the friends set up and you're on the play, you're not worried about an Ursula sniping your friends, you can do that. It's also a rush target for your Jafars, or even like your Merryweathers, Demonas, whatever you might want to play. But the sneaky thing to do is play the Jafar with it and then draw a bunch of cards, and you can gain a bunch of lore as well. Super fun deck. One of my favorite decks to pilot. I'm sure you can find some ways that you would want to change this a little bit. Be my guest. Let me know how it goes, though. Those are my 3 deck lists. For Blurple, I'm going to go into some of the matchups. And, all right, guys, I'm here to go over some of the matchups that you would see in Blurple, and what I think is actually much better now than it used to be in this new Infinity format compared to what we had in pre-rotation. Because, again, a lot of these cards are that's what we want to compare it to, I think, is one of the easiest ways. There's some new decks that have come out there, but we want to really evaluate on an axis of what was good before rotation happened, and how does this deck now do okay into those old decks. And to be honest with you, I have never ever had such a good win rate against green decks, specifically green steel, with these new versions of Blurple. I think green steel is going to still be super popular, and maybe I have a lot of experience playing that matchup, so it's become easier for me over time. But I can't stress enough how much Merryweather helps that matchup. So green steel, I would actually say, is very favored for Blurple. Specifically, I'm really leaning on that first list that we shared, the more core or less spicy version. But I do think some of the other versions still do okay into green steel, and most of the other green decks, discard in general, I honestly had very good win rates against. You just want to have to get past the turn that they're going to try to pop off, and there are some high rolls that you can't keep up with, but for the most part, it's still pretty good. The other one that's taken a huge swing in the right direction for us is Steel Song. Steel Song, again, Merryweather, she just equalizes that matchup for us. And look, there are times that they can still turn 2 wheel on the play. If they do something like that, and you had to shed your ramp away and you didn't go into more ramp and you have no turn 2 play, yeah, that's pretty rough. But both Popsicle Bell is solid into Steel Song and on the play. Only you don't really want to do that on the draw as much, but on the play. And then the Merryweather, getting her down on turn 3 just creates so many issues for Steel Song. They just can't do anything. Again, I still think it's probably 50-50, maybe a little more 55-45 for us if you're on a full play set of Merryweathers. But we don't have a board wipe, so if they are able to get super wide, yeah, it becomes difficult. The one matchup that I think has felt harder to me than it used to be is blue-red, which is funny because even with Flaversham, I felt like we were okay in that matchup, but now with this current list, I think it's a little harder. I've messed around with like playing manners and stuff like that, but I still think it's a difficult one. Green blue items is also pretty tough if they high roll, because we don't have a way to stop Oswald right off the rip. So if they're on the player and they go like Oswald into Quill, yeah, we're in trouble, because if that thing starts hitting items, so we don't have a way to mass wipe items, and it's just inevitable before you can win in time. And even a manner, I don't think will help you. Just they go so fast in green blue, and that deck is pretty scary. But that leads me to the last one that I think can be a little harder of a matchup, and that's Burn. Both the purple steel version and the yellow purple version of Burn, I have had tough times with. If you see the bell early, it's not as bad, but if you do miss the bell, we're not playing a bunch of 1-drops, right? And look, I kind of mentioned it to kind of make a quick segue here. There is options. You have this core. If your meta is all aggro, you can make some adjustments and still make the Blurple color combination good into that deck, but you may struggle into some of the other decks. My main target was green. I didn't want to lose to green, and that's kind of what I built my deck around because I thought it would be the most prominent color. So yeah, I think it is a hard matchup, but you could use your flex tech slots for those bad matchups. But yeah, burn is hard. They got a lot of juice, and they just keep swinging, keep coming, keep getting lore, and we don't have a way to stop lore. There's like an inevitable point to where they're at like 18, and we got their board wiped, and we're questing for 4 a turn, but we're only at like 8. And it's just if they find that last little reach to get across the finish line, or we're able to stabilize. So it's a tight one. We're probably lesser in that. I'd say probably 60-40 them for both burn lists. Normal purple steel, I think we're completely fine. I don't think that's a bad matchup at all for Blurple. Trying to think what else is out there. Red yellow can be a little difficult. I specifically like Bell for the red yellow decks because you're actually able to shift Bell to stop them from getting the value, because again, and this is if they're on that red yellow heal stuff, because they're able to do like turn 1 Mulan, turn 2 Mother Gothel, turn 3 Ohana means family. They don't have to wait for that Rapunzel, which is huge. I mean, them drawing those cards, and then if they're able to just chain it, it becomes incredibly difficult to ever stop them from drawing cards, and they just kind of beat you on resource alone. But if you're able to shift your Bell, you can heal their Gothel and damage their Mulan, or vice versa. And that can just straight up win you the matchup because their hand's kind of bricky from there, and they don't have a target to actually get their card draw from. But if you don't have that answer and they draw the cards, it just becomes inherently difficult to get across the finish line there as well. Those are most of the decks that I've seen. I'm sure there's more out there. Green, purple, I've only really seen some discard variants. I've been messing around with some other decks of that, but the discard variants are not hard for us. Infinity is so fun. Some of my closing remarks would be just that I was a hater on Infinity. I did not think it was going to be fun. I was like, why are we doing a DLC for Infinity? But I don't know if it's just because it's been away for so long, but it is so fun and it feels so open. There's so many different things that you can be playing. And yeah, so let me know. Look, new channel, guys. If you've made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you. I do want to shout out my sponsor, Triad Gaming. I'll put their website below if you need any products in the area. They're running a bunch of tournaments as well. But let me know what you guys want to see on this channel. If you want to see gameplay, I can do live gameplay. I can get some people to come over. We'll do live gameplay. I can do more deck techs like this. Not just Blurple. I can do other stuff. Really, whatever you guys want to see, I'm here for you. I want to be a resource and kind of spread the knowledge that I do have, the limited amount, to as many people as possible. So if you like what you saw, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.